Hi, this is Roger Rebenak with the Niagara Security Integration Team. You're listening to Control Talk Radio Now. With 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get that juice flowing again. Here's Kenny and here's Eric.
Eric Stromquist with Control Talk Now for the week ending August 18th, 2013. As usual, I am joined by my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Eric. It sounds like you're inside of the big ring there and before a big boxing match now. So, hope I keep living up to that reputation you're creating for me. Thank you. How's things going down there in Atlanta, Georgia?
Well, Kenny, things are going well. We're, happy. I want to give a special shout out to our friend Pat Marcella from M&M Controls in Baltimore, Maryland. Pat is a Honeywell systems distributor as well as Johnson Controls like us. One of the truly, truly good guys in our industry, Kenny. And Pat's Baltimore Ravens took it to our Atlanta Falcons last night. So if we had to get beat by somebody, I'd just as soon it be Pat as opposed to somebody else. So, Kenny, I'm excited about this week. We got a lot of good stuff going on. We got a couple surprises. So one of them, I'll tell you, you're going to have to wait until the end of the show. After we do the outro, stay tuned. We got a very special surprise there. And, Kenny, we got our very, very first guest coming on later on the show. And we won't tell you who he is now, but we're really thrilled about getting our first live guest. All right, Kenny, so tell me a little bit about you. What do you got going on?
Well, we're watching how fast the summer's disappearing. We're having low temperatures here August 15th and 16th, 42, 43 degrees here in Pittsburgh. So it just means the drums keep beating, the seasons keep coming and changing, and we got something big coming up. In fact, our lead today is that our week ending August 18th sponsor is the Control Trends Awards, the Academy and the working group that puts together the show, and it's getting exciting. We have a couple additional categories this year. We're real interested in getting more feedback in that department. We have a great lineup of the best products, the best people, the best solutions, and it just keeps getting better. We got the Hall of Fame, getting excited about that, and the PTALK Award. Yeah,
absolutely. I tell you what, lots of good stuff going on, Kenny, and so it's going to be very, very interesting this week. And, of course, I'm still trying to make these controls work, so if I sound a little distracted, it's because I am. This is kind of tricky on this side. But, the Control Trends Awards are upon us, Kenny, and what's exciting about that is, like you said, we have added some new categories, and that's going to be exciting. So what's going to happen now is we've got our nomination period. As a matter of fact, the nomination ballots will go out in the next week. So if you've already signed up for the Control Trends Awards, just check your emails. We'll probably send those out a couple of times to make sure you get them. But be looking for that. If you haven't registered yet, go to controltrends.org. You can just click register right there on the site, right by the Control Trends Awards logo. You can click on that, or there's a link that says register to vote here. Either way, you can do it, but please be part of this. Like I said, we're really expanding it out this year and looking to add new players. We're reaching out to people like Distech, who has a great product, KMC, Ben Dorsey, are you listening? And Allerton and people like that. So it looks like we're going to get a lot more participation this year. And Kenny, of course, the venue is going to be off the chain.
Sure is, Eric. Just a quick summary on that. We're having the Control Trends Awards at the B.B. King Blues Clubs and Grill located at 42nd Street Northwest in Times Square, January 21st, 2014, 10:30 to 1:30 p.m. It won't interrupt the people. The main attraction there, of course, will be the AHR or people having business at the AHR. This is to fit in there seamlessly, make it as convenient and as close as possible, and just provide a tremendous venue for this exciting event.
Yeah, absolutely, Kenny. So, Kenny, what do we have up first this week on Control Trends?
All right, Eric, the first we have is what makes the new Belimo actuator retrofit special. This was a great presentation by Belimo's Joe Carcari. He stopped in at Stromquist, in fact, and did some training down there, and you were able to video it. And, of course, we'll go over some of the some of the text tips stuff that's really important, because the name of the game is that you got to get in there and in the shortest amount of steps possible fix things, get things working. In today's economy, you can't just change things out, globe valves and the actuator. You got to go in there, and if the globe valve is still functioning and is still serviceable, then what you need to do is bring that into the building management system. In many cases, it's pneumatic, and you can convert it to DDC. You're going to put a 0 to 10 volts DC actuator on there. Well, Belimo's come up with some very, very exciting and simple, straightforward universal actuator retrofit kits. Why don't you tell us about the training that you had done there in Georgia?
Well, Joe Carcass stopped in, Kenny, like you said, and he is just an amazing guy. He's a tech. As a matter of fact, some of these linkages, like you're seeing on the screen right now, Joe actually helped design. So Joe came into some great training, blew us away. We've actually talked to Joe and Gary Weber and a couple other people. Joe's actually going to come on and start doing a Belimo Tech Talk show once a month with us. It'll be an hour show. We'll advertise it on the website. So you can go, that way you can interact with Joe, ask him questions via chat or Twitter. So Kenny, really, really, really excited about that. So good stuff there from Joe and Belimo. So like you say, it's a cool product. That globe valve linkage kit basically allows you to put a Belimo actuator on virtually anybody's valve body. And, people really like those actuators, Kenny, and Belimo is certainly making it easy for them to use it. So even some of the older globe valves that maybe a manufacturer does not have, a linkage repair kit for, Belimo will actually work on those. So be sure to check with your local Belimo distributor. Check that out, and be sure to stay tuned to controltrends.org for Belimo Tech Talk with Joe Carcare.
Good show, Eric. Next up was hanging out with Scott Mensch from J2 Innovations. Everybody in the business involved in the systems integration has heard of J2 Innovations by now, and they're really making a move in the market. They feature the Fin Builder, and he was down also training in both of your locations in Georgia and Florida. And why don't you tell us a little bit about the Fin Builder in 2 minutes, and why use Fin Builder?
Well, I tell you what, Kenny, talking about Fin Builder in 2 minutes is kind of hard to do. It's a very, very versatile product. And, we've talked about Scott Mensch and Jason Briggs before on Control Trends. As we said, we first met them at Haystack. They're really, really on board with that Haystack protocol, really involved with that. We've talked about the great live demonstration they did online, Kenny. And we've actually got that on Control Trends. It's definitely worth checking out. But we are using this Google Hangout thing, and our Rob Allen actually hung out with Scott Mensch, and we had several of our customers that were actually online that were remote that sort of got to experience Scott. They got to ask him questions. Scott actually got to do a live demo for him via the Hangouts, Kenny. So it's a really cool venue. We've done a couple of them using social media and the HVAC, which we'll continue to do those. And this is what we'll be using with the format we'll be using with Belimo Tech Talk with Joe Carcare. So if you look at the screen, you can see Scott right there. He's in a separate location and actually our training room. And Scott in a minute is going to actually bring up his demo software. And again, we had a couple of people that were actually on the Hangout with Scott, but we had other people that were actually texting in and asking questions. So really, really cool format. We really like the Hangouts and the way it's working. And, of course, we really like the graphics packages we're working with J2 Innovations and our friends at DJ Logic. So it's cool stuff, as you can see. And let me just see if I can fast forward this a little bit so you can sort of see Scott bring his screen up, Kenny. Yeah, there you go. Now you can see Scott's actually doing his presentation live with the Hangout. And the Hangouts, as you know, Kenny, they're a little bit tricky. You and I have had to work through those to get them to work right. And our Rob Allen has embraced that. He actually uses those Hangouts, Kenny, with his local systems integrators. So not just local, but remote as well. And so they meet like once a week. They have a Hangout. That particular one's a private one because, they want to talk about stuff that's germane to them. So I think this Google Hangout thing is really, really a cool thing, and we're really happy to be involved with it.
Oh, Eric, I tell you what, I think you're leading the way with the, Stromquist is and Control Trends is, and using this, you're becoming more efficient. In other words, you're getting people, so you're bringing all these people, all this information into one single point, and the expense is very low. The overhead to do this is very low. So I think it's going to keep growing. And what it does too is, in terms of editing and the time to spend to support the show after you do the good work, it's ready to go. It's live. It's on the the internet. It's available, and it's kind of a permanent. It's like you said, an artifact. You're creating a product. So people will have to get better at it. You will have to get some. Just a couple of things you have to get going with your computer and maybe some equipment to get better audio and get better video, but to convey information importantly quickly and to have it available when people need it, that's where everything's going to. So I think we're doing a great job promoting social media in a very constructive, informative, simplistic way.
No, I agree, Kenny. And the other thing is I would say is the social media with HVAC industry. I mean, we've done 3 of those hangouts so far. The last one was great. We had ACI on, as well as Nadira Johnson from CG&A, and I thought that was just a really explosive hangout. The stuff that came up there was just really great. And so if you're using social media and HVAC, please reach out to Kenny. I mean, we'd love to have you on one of the hangouts. We'll have these about every 2 weeks, talking about the use of social media. We've actually got a woman lined up who's a web developer that is really an advocate of blogging, Kenny, and she works with a lot of businesses on how to use a blog to bring business in. And actually, she was the woman who set Control Trends up for us originally. So we've got her scheduled to come on, as well as a couple of contractors. We got a bunch of people that are actually lining up that want to be on that show. So if you're one of those, please reach out to us in comments, and we would love to have you on the show.
Great, Eric. Next up is, as we said, the weather's changing up here in Pittsburgh. I'm sure it is everywhere around North America and around the world. But the next season's coming up. You can sense it in the air. The football seasons are starting up. Baseball is getting into its heated race. It's exciting, and it just shows a perpetual motion of the world we live in. But I see Stromquist is lining up a bunch of classes down there to get ready for this heating season coming up. You have combustion. You have why don't you tell us about some of those training classes you have coming up? I think Stacy did a great post. And how's people reacting to the Control Trends posting of your training?
Yeah, Kenny, we really believe, training is the key. It is so, Marshall Thurber, a teacher I've mentioned before, used to always say, nothing is obvious to the uninformed. And with the technology changing as rapidly as it is, with the new technologies, you got to keep up with those. But then, there's just the core technologies. And there's still a ton of pneumatics out there that, that believe it or not, a lot of people are just not getting trained on that. So twice a year we have a pneumatics class, hands-on pneumatics class that we put on, both in our Atlanta and our Orlando operations. Tim Chamley is going to be teaching that for us this year. He's also going to do a VAV class, so he's got the big VAV fan and all the boxes, so you get to set different boxes up and calibrate them. And Timmy's also teaching his chiller class, and we just get people all the time that want to do Tim's chiller class. And I've mentioned Tim before. He works with us. He been a trainer at the local tech school forever. Great teacher, really good at explaining things. So really glad to have Tim involved with that. So his chiller class, we still have spaces left.
Intro to controllers. So this is a great thing about people getting into the business. A half-day class will give an overview of the different HVAC controllers and how they communicate across the network. Protocols, programmable configure controllers, the difference between them, and the different product types that are available and what they offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I didn't even know we had that one on there. So I guess the team is expanding the classes. The joke around my office is I'm usually the last guy on the team to know. So, hey, that's great, you guys. If you're listening, I really like the fact you got a new class going. So that's super, super duper.
All right, Eric. Next up was Control Trends Awards thanks Engineered Systems for their media sponsor support. This was a really interesting post because Engineered Systems got behind us right away last year. We appreciated that continual messaging that we have to, to promote the show. You have to keep reminding people what it is, where it is, kind of steer people to the conclusion to come to it and pay attention to it. But Mr. Robert Beverly actually put us in his the editor's notes, and that's really cool because that's a memorabilia piece there that it gave the some recognition and the things that are important for us to make sure we're getting out to the media and being recognized as a media source for our control business and for the HVAC business at large. But then he also posted the winners, so it was a great post, and we really appreciate it, and we look forward to their continued support.
Yeah, Kenny, I got to tell you, that was quite flattering. It's a great publication, and to be included in that, with the Control Trends Awards was really quite an honor. So many thanks to Engineered Systems for that acknowledgement.
All right, Eric. Next up, we have From the Counter. This is Sean Johnson's post, and it's very cleverly done. Sean's a workhorse for you all down here. He knows the products well, but he's also very handy with the gizmos and gadgets, and he's very good with the media. And he does a nice little presentation of a change out. He had a Honeywell thermostat from 2 years ago. He puts the new Prestige IAQ2 on it, and he explains the features in depth. And this is the kind of training that I think is going to prevail very shortly. In other words, everybody's going to have to take this into account and come up with their versions of it, create their video libraries and indexing. And of course, all the big players have it already, but people don't know about it. They don't know how to get to it. So I think we're Control Trends. We serve as a hub. We come in and out, and also we take it a very, like Sean does. He takes it in his hands, shows you the wires connecting it. And believe me, that's so important when you're having a fit, trying to figure out what you did wrong. I think the manufacturers appreciate it because we're repurposing very important, video documentation. And I thought Sean did an excellent job. And I think last thing to say is that we have that thermostat summary coming up here, where we have an incredible thermostat race going on. And all the major manufacturers in the business came up with significant improvements, whether it was Honeywell, Nest, InTouch, Viconics, Ecobee. They all made significant improvements to their thermostats. We're going to have a post real soon from Clint that's going to kind of summarize all that.
Well, the first thing I got to say is, boy, it's great to have people on your team that work with you like Sean, who just I didn't ask him to do this video. He took this on himself, Kenny, and he just went to his home and he set this thing up and actually did this and posted it. So he installed it in his house. He wanted to get to know it better. So I just first of all, hats off to Seon. Really appreciate him taking the time to do this and sharing it with the Control Trends community. So Seon does a little post called From the Counter. He's also on our marketing team at Stromquist and Company. Just a great addition to our team and our families. So. But you're right, Kenny. It's the thermostat wars are heating up. I mean, they really are. People have made improvements to the thermostats. That was one of the hottest categories, if you will, most contested categories last year for the thermostat of the year, and Viconics pulled it out. But it was a very close race. You got Nest, who has this incredible thing that they came out with, probably one of the greatest all-time marketing campaigns in HVAC Control's history. So they've been really strong. Honeywell just continues to amaze with what they're coming up with. So very impressed with what they're doing. And then you got people like InTouch. Viconics isn't standing still. And I am so glad that our friend Clint, the good, the bad, the ugly guy, is rearing his head again and getting back involved. I thought he'd run off with Sarah Connor.
Well, that'd be a good run. That'd be a good person to run off with. I'll tell you that. I just wanted to summarize that thing with the title that was put on that post by Mr. Stromquist was "See Why the New Honeywell Prestige IAQ Could Be a Nest Killer." I thought that was a great way to provocate some controversy because Nest has a great product and they're moving heavy in the open ADR. They're really getting involved with the utility, and they got some great people. They got some great engineering. They got some great marketing. They got a great product, and they're very successful. However, the step that Honeywell's taken is they're also good in that field too, and they've also got their utility thermostat, and they're working. They're making strides. With the we were talking about the post where they did a citywide installation of the thermostats that were grid ready. Well, this is for the other markets. This is the Prestige IAQ, and what's really cool about the Red Links is that it's very simple and it works. We've had numerous installations, and people come back and say, "Man, this thing really works." I'm so surprised that this high tech has been simplified to the point where it's very workable. I mean, my guys are putting it in and I call them back. It's not high maintenance. The website's super. And then when you do have a technical support problem, Honeywell's got a great staff to support this product.
They really do. So it's never been a better time to be a thermostat consumer. Hey, Kenny? I mean, you got so many options.
That is so true. And we could just go on, but I think there's going to be coming more and more information about thermostats. But InTouch also made a great stride. I mean, they're selling through distribution, and they really convinced a lot of important distributors that their thermostat is unique in a way that all the other thermostats, despite how good they are in their feature benefit package, what they're doing is very important for that energy monitor. The guy that wants to know, where's my money going? How come these utility rates or my bills are going up? Why am I spiking in peak demand times? It's because you're blind to it, and you don't have any way to meter it and know when you're approaching it. You don't know what you're doing. So InTouch helps solve that problem on a very low, simplistic basis, a very affordable basis. But it has the web-enabled, parts to it, all the components that makes it important to monitor it from one single seat, and also to aggregate that information. And they did a great job. Just in closing summary, Viconics introduced a VT8000 series, and that's another touchpad style, just real pretty. They're getting it. They're moving whatever as the other thermostat manufacturers move forward with greater user interfaces. Viconics was not slow to react. They reacted very quick with a very nice product. It's very pretty. And then Ecobee. Ecobee still is. It's got the contractor site and the user site that makes everything available from a single seat. You turn on your computer in the morning or access your site at Ecobee. It shows up all your thermostats are installed and registered with the site, show up as Google points. So you're looking at a red, blue, green, or color-coded presentation of the status of your thermostat. So you know which thermostats are in alarm. So that is a great stride forward for the contractors, like commercial building contractors and the people that don't have a big overhead. They don't have the resources to put the big web page together. They get the look and feel of a big web page through the partnership with Ecobee.
Well, we've talked about it a lot on the show, Kenny. I mean, there are more and more options for the smaller box space. I mean, the smaller retail stores, restaurants. I mean, people like InTouch are stepping up. We've mentioned, in the past, our friend Mike Marston with his Easy IO Beast from the East Controller. It really seems like, back in the old days, it was when you and I got started, it was kind of like, you either had a thermostat or you had a full-blown system. There wasn't a whole lot in between, and now there's just tons and tons of options in between. And you're right, all those people you mentioned are right on there. And I really like the guys at InTouch, Kenny, Greg Pasulo and James Watson and those guys. They're a smaller company. We've worked with them quite a bit. They're very responsive. They're able to do things very, very quickly, sometimes what bigger companies can't. We had a situation once with a school system, and they had a bunch of the remote classrooms, and they needed a software revision to make it fit in their system, and these guys turned around and got it done, got it written and got it done, and I think like in 2 or 3 weeks. It was absolutely amazing how quickly they responded, and they're comers, so be sure to watch InTouch Controls, because I really think they're bringing a lot to the table.
Hi, that's great, Eric. Next up is Mark's Cool Tools, Episode 2. A tool to read, hard to get to part numbers. That's a tongue twister. Mark's Cool Tools. Yeah, that's a great thing. I think it's a testament to your team down there and embracing what you're trying to do and leading the way with selling simplistic solutions and giving people just really easy to view and understand demonstrations of products that will make their life easier. These things will probably be hard to keep on the shelf once people see this, because I think everything's we've had a telescopic, magnet before. We've had a telescopic, light, and some like Testo, and they had that great optics thing where you could do that too. But this thing seems to put together an all-in-one solution at a very reasonable price, and Mark does a heck of a good job presenting that.
Well, I completely agree, Kenny. Mark is, he's just this amazing counter guy, and he just loves the tools. He's always finding these tool things for us, and just does a great job with it. He's our best sales guy. I got to tell you, Kenny, he came to us from the tire industry of all places. He was working retail, and I got to tell you, if the guys in that industry are anything like Mark, you got to get him on your counter, because Mark thinks like a retailer. He is always merchandising products on the counter, making sure that we've got the right products out there. And boy, does he know how to sell these products. But he loves the tools. Got a really, really fun one coming up next week on Mark's Cool Tools. So you have to be sure to stay tuned for that. So anyway, thanks, Mark. And again, really appreciate it. Mark's Cool Tools. That product is made by Sensible Product. All our CGNA members have access to it, so you can go to cgacontrols.net if you're outside of the Pennsylvania area, in which case you can go to the SmyersCompany.com. That's Kenny's company. If you're in Georgia or Florida, you can go to Stromquist.com. That's my company. So any case, Kenny, what do we have up next?
What's an announcement, product announcement by Honeywell? We have the Honeywell T7079 temperature controllers are no longer available. So that's the bad news. The good news is that they have plenty of products to replace that. So we had some technology evolves, and as it leaps forward and as parts become more and more difficult to provide and they're replaced by better components, basically you have an evolution of a product line where the T7079 did its work. It was a workhorse for a low cost but reliable electronic temperature controller, and it's been superseded by a couple of, but mostly the T775 family.
Yeah, what happens? The parts get obsoleted, Kenny. It happens to, a lot of manufacturers that, the parts get obsoleted. They can't get the parts to make the product anymore. And, so anyway, we do have that up on Control Trends with the replacements that they recommend. So be sure to check that. If you have any of those, I'd be surprised if you do. They've been around for a while. But then again, the way that stuff is made these days, I mean, you could, because stuff just doesn't break like it used to, right?
Yeah, that's right. I think it's a testament to a good product that, again, was a workhorse, because those are the sort of things that people stocked so that you can go out to, 80% of the applications where you needed temperature control. And the T7079 did it. Now the T775 is even more universal and, great reliable product. All right, Eric, next up is the birth of LinkSpring. Why don't you tell us about that post? And I did some homework on it, and I listened to it, and it is quite a story. I didn't want to take your fire out of your response, but Terry Swope does a great job talking about the evolution of a mechanical and plumbing contractor, how they got involved out of necessity, take it to the next level, find Tritium, find the Niagara platform, understand it, and then really take it to the next level and create a business from it. And they're going to a nationwide store coverages. They had Terry names them: Lynx, Kohl's, Boston Chicken, and their national accounts, and some of them are even global. And how he had to keep broadening the platform. And then as they did that, the LinkSpring blossomed. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, I'm a big fan. We just recently took LinkSpring on, Kenny, as a distributor, and big fan of them. We got to meet Terry Swope for the first time at the 2012 Control Trends Awards. He is a very, very cool, smart, articulate person, very, very intelligent. LinkSpring actually puts podcasts out. We actually put a copy of that up on the Control Trends Awards. And Terry's, again, talking about how the company came into being and what their vision is. So it's definitely worth checking out. And as you know, too, Kenny, our friend Mark Peacock is now working with LinkSpring. And so that sort of brings me to our first big surprise, Kenny. So one of the big surprises we have is our first guest, live guest on Control Talk Now, is Mark Peacock. So, Mark, welcome to the show.
Great to be here with you and Kenny. Thoroughly enjoying this already, even though we're just getting started. Especially to be known that I'm with the man, the myth, the legend from Pittsburgh. And then for you, Eric, you always introduce Kenny in this magnificent way. So for you, I want to introduce you as a truly original, not a carbon copy, but the real deal, Eric Stromquist. Great to be here.
Oh, Mark, thank you so much, buddy. I tell you what, you just made my day with that. I tell you, you got the man, the myth, the legend, and the real deal. And gosh, we're gonna have to come up with one for you, buddy.
Hey, we won't do that. I haven't earned my stripes yet, like you guys have by doing this. But great to be here, and I think it's so exciting on what you're doing with Control Talk Now, and especially Control Talk Live. This is fabulous.
Well, Mark, thanks a lot. We really, really appreciate it. So, hey, Kenny and I just reviewed a post on Control Talk Now. We posted the LinkSpring story, the podcast with Terry Swope talking about how LinkSpring got started. And I got to tell you, we really, really like this guy. He is, what a great story and what a cool guy. I mean, anybody that looks like Greg Allman and is in the controls industry and plays guitar, right, is the best.
Yeah, and he's an awesome guitar player as well. And more to come on that later on in future Control Talk Now. But yeah, it's really exciting to be there. And, our business is really made up of 4 key areas. We've got a distribution and an integrator network that is national in scope. We've got an OEM business that we work with. We have a professional services group. And we also have a technology and solution development group that develops a lot of new applications and technology based on open platforms, including the Niagara framework.
Well, we're really happy to be representing you guys. You know, we came on as a distributor for you guys and your products here in the not too long ago, and we're real happy with what we're seeing from you guys. And I think if we twist Kenny's arm, we might be able to get him on too.
That's good. The man, the myth, the legend. We'll have to twist it. We got a big shoes to follow there, but we'll do it.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the big topics that Kenny, I've been talking a lot about, Kenny, and I'll have you chime in on this, is this whole thing with cybersecurity and all the stuff that's sort of going on with that. Kenny, why don't you lead Mark in a discussion about their new product they've got?
Well, certainly, Eric, couldn't come at a better time, too. We all know that there's been some very serious concern from the recent activities where some of the old Niagara, or not old, but the Niagara sites were vulnerable. And I think it brought us all to a level of very serious concern and attention. But I just wanted to say to Mark that I really get it. I follow LinkSpring, and I go on your site often because you guys are really leading the way on not just the security, but you're also doing the open ADR and your relationship with Connex, data aggregation, and you put it all together with a product platform. And you seem to be doing great, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thanks, Kenny. I greatly appreciate it.
To what Eric was saying, though, we need schooled on security, and we know that LinkSpring has produced a very neat product to protect us against cyber security and the threats. But why don't you give us that 1-minute synopsis that really brings us to the most recent the trends and the things to do to prevent security hack?
Well, sure, and I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, cyber protection, cybersecurity is something we all especially the building automation business, need to take very seriously. We're seeing more and more things out there that causes our needs for concern and things like that. So just being able to treat your building automation network just as you would an IT network is where it's going and where it's happening today. And, if there are breaks in cybersecurity, it's not just about turning the lights on and off or just raising that set point, that temperature a little bit. There's a lot more. Once you're in, it becomes a pivot point for issues such as malware, viruses, and being able to do damages throughout a building or whatnot. And obviously, I think we've been seeing some things in the news recently. And last week, they had some more demonstrations at the Black Hat Conference 2013 in Vegas about folks, white hat hackers in this case, hacking into some systems that were controlling an oil production facility and places like that. So it's a serious issue. But yet, it's important that the entire industry, all of us, become a lot more knowledgeable about cybersecurity.
And I think you've got a really cool product that we really like the looks of. It seems like it's taken about as I don't want to use simplistic in the term of not effective, but speak a bit, if you will. We've talked about it a bit on Control Talk now about the new product that you guys are coming out with.
It's called Link Cyber Pro, and basically it's helping to remove those devices from the open internet, if you will. But they're still on the internet, but it's going through a layered system, if you will, in order to gain access to those who have the rights and things like that. Plus, it has an audit trail. So it's essentially removing the port accessibility or the vulnerability concerning ports, and then opening up the ports just when you want to access and deal with those devices.
Yeah, well said, Mark. That product really appeals to me, my sensibilities on that. You know, you're staying away from an expensive VPN, and it seems like, from what I'm understanding, the IT people are sort of embracing this as an effective way to sort of, stop people from getting in through the access and security and building automation side. And I think they're happy because they're not having to, deal with all those VPNs and all those patches and all that kind of stuff that you have to do with one of those type solutions.
Well said, and you're absolutely right. And, we're trying to reach out to the IT community as well as the facility side of the house and the building owners, because again, they each have some skin in the game should there be an incident, or if they find some a way to that they've been hacked, and that's part of the issue. Is a lot of the times you don't know if you've been hacked, and that's the key. And you could have been hacked years ago, and people could have been in your network without you knowing it.
Sounds like my ex-wives, man. They're always in my network, and I don't know it. So. Well, hey, Mark, listen. So LinkSpring just rocks. Great company, linkspring.com. I mean, you can go to controltrends.org or com. I mean, we've got lots of articles and lots of links to the LinkSpring site. But Mark sort of performs another role. I mean, where maybe Kenny is the man, the myth, the legend, and the original deal or whatever you call me. But, I think that when you think of Mark, I mean, if you were hanging around Dallas, Texas, was it February or January, at Eddie Dean's Ranch, I mean, you saw a side of Mark Peacock. Bond. Mark Bond. So Mark was the MC of the first ever Control Trends Awards, and Kenny, he's coming back on. You want to make the announcement about who the MC for the 2013 Control Trends Awards is going to be, and sort of give people the date on that?
Oh, certainly you do. It's going to be Mr. Mark Peacock again. The venue is going to be at the B.B. King's Blues Club and Grill, located at 42nd Street Northwest in Times Square, on January 21st, 2014, from 10:30 to 1:30, concurrent with the HR show.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's going to be some good times. So I don't know whether Mark Bond will be making another appearance, but I have a feeling that you've got some stuff planned, and I think we want to keep most of that stuff secret, so it would be a surprise. But suffice it to say, Mark's pulling all the stops out, as Kenny and I are, for the 2013 Control Trends Awards in New York City. So, Mark, among other things, thank you to you and Terry. You guys signed on as platinum sponsors, and as well as Honeywell, EasyIO, Belimo. Kenny, we got a host of them. DG Lux. So thanks to you guys, Kenny and I are really able to really do some nice planning for these awards. So we're planning to make these things sort of over the top. And Mark, what do you think? Are you excited about the awards coming up?
Absolutely. To be in New York, to be at B.B. King's, being a big blues fan that I am, I think it's really exciting. Plus, I think the folks who are going to be participating the voters. All the sponsors who you mentioned, and again, I thank all the sponsors as well. I think there's so much more that's going to happen at this year's Control Trends Awards. I mean, when you think of New York City, there's a lot to think about. It's exciting. It's vibrant. It's got a lot of good, colorful history. And just as a little hint, it's always been home to a certain type of broadcast that comes out of New York City. And I kind of just give the folks out there who will be joining us, just keep that in mind when you come to our to the CTA's end of January 2013. Just think of late night, and that's all we'll say.
So, Kenny, rumor has it, and this is a trivial question, that Mark might be related either to Jay Leno, Jimmy Fallon, David Letterman, or Johnny Carson. So be the first person to answer in trivia who Mark's distant relative, and this goes back before the Mayflower, but Mark did the research, and let me just put it this way. He is qualified to speak of late-night talk shows.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as that, but it should be very, very exciting. And but I just want to urge the community out there. A couple of things that we're doing this year. We're adding 3 new categories of folks to recognize, and I'm sure Kenny and Eric, you guys can talk about that in a few minutes. But please get out there when it's time and you start seeing more information. Be part of this. Vote. It's people like all of us out in the community who make this worthwhile and who recognizes the products, the people, who are really driving this industry. So as soon as the ballots become available, which you'll be hearing a lot about that, make sure you vote. Get your friends to vote. Get the people in your industry. Get your customers to vote. And the more people who vote, I think you'll see that it's good representation of the products that make the final and the people who make the final list.
Yeah, Kenny, so let's give them a little detail on sort of what's up next regarding the Control Trends Awards.
Well, certainly, we're in the nomination period right now. Next week, people that have been a part of our organization, part of the Control Trends Awards, will get their opportunity to begin the nomination process. We do have 3 categories that are going to be involving the energy, the lighting, and the combustion worlds, so that we can recognize more of the great products, more of the great people, and more of the great solutions. As Mark said, this is a networking venture that the more you put in it, the more you get out of it. That it gives everybody the opportunity to become recognized for the great work they do day in and day out, and especially the people that put long-standing careers in, and they really have been so influential and so important to get things done that we all enjoy this modern standard of living. But when you look down to it, how important the air conditioning is, the boilers and hospitals, how dependent everybody is on critical lighting and energy, and just this supply of uninterrupted power. I mean, but behind all that, we're a $110 billion industry with very little history and very little distinction, and we have to generate that. And that's what the Control Trends Awards is all about. So it's an open invitation around the world to bring your community into this the center stage and to have it culminate in a very important and special event.
Well said, Kenny. Very, very well said. So, Kenny and I are really committed. We think that people in our industry are rock stars. We think they're underappreciated. The Control Trends Awards are an opportunity for us to come together once a year to celebrate the industry and the people that are in it. So, but the way that happens is through great sponsors, which we have, but it also happens through participation. So this is a brand agnostic awards. The winners win, and the way the winners win is through voting and being nominated. And as Kenny said, the next step is that the nomination ballots will go out in the next couple of weeks. We mentioned it earlier in the show. If you haven't already signed up to register to vote, just sign up. We get your information. We will not send you anything that's not germane to the Control Trends Awards. We will not share your information with anyone else. So you'll have the opportunity to nominate people. There's people that have already been pre-nominated. But on that ballot, you'll see for each category, there'll be a space where you can write in up to 3 additional people. And the way it will work, you pick your top 3 picks, and then from there, we will take that list and we'll truncate it down to the 5 finals. And then once the 5 finalists show up, we will go through a period where they'll have the opportunity to reach out to the community through Control Trends, tell them about their great products, their great people, and their great companies, so that when the voting ballots, which is different than the nomination ballots, go out in late December, you will get to choose or help choose the winners that will be announced at the Control Trends Awards January 21st in New York City with the man, Mark Bond, as the MC. So, Mark, it's exciting times.
It truly is. And I think one of the key things, again, that, a call out to our industry, to our community, is the fact that, you got to nominate people, nominate them, and there will be finalists. Participate throughout the entire process. In other words, none of us are just picking the products, the people, the solutions. They are truly coming and being nominated from the community, and the community has this voice. Vote. And be part of this. And, just as important, if you're going to be in New York, please plan on attending. I think not only will we have a good show and some good surprises, but the fact that it's a great opportunity for all of us to get together as an industry. As Kenny mentioned, a $110 billion industry. Absolutely phenomenal. And quite honestly, my personal opinion, I think that's just the beginning of this industry. As new technology is coming out, as we see energy taking a stronger foothold and other things, this industry has immense power to grow itself and continue the force it has been all of these years.
Very well said, Mark. So, completely agree. Kenny, anything that you have to add to what Mark just had to say?
Yes, I do. Kind of closing things up is that the important things we're doing too is the Hall of Fame. We continue to document some of the legends in our industry. We're going across the time, but in particular, there's going to be a very serious award given, the Hall of Fame award, the PTOC award. Mark set a precedent with the service given to the community that struck us so much that we just had to recognize it. And from this point forward, it'll be continued to be recognized. And now it's going to grow. And long after we're doing these talk shows and somebody else takes our place, we hope that these things become ingrained in the industry, never go away, and we all benefit from it. There really is no losers, by the way. When we go through the accomplishments that each person that gets nominated, or each solution that gets nominated, or each product that gets nominated, that we are bringing this into a social media level that makes everybody's time and energy worthwhile. So you can't lose by participating in this. If you make it to the final 5, I think it's going to become a distinction that's going to separate you in this year of evaluation, and that you should really strive for that, because you're going to get a lot of media attention. You're going to come away with marketing collateral, and then the show itself, if you're nominated, that's a very, very important distinction. So we hope everybody, again, it's a call out, Mark said, for everybody to get involved at the level you feel comfortable with, and join the Control Trends Awards.
Really well said, Kenny. Really well said. And remember, we have a very special treat right after the outro. So be sure to listen to that. Hey, Mark PTOC from LinkSpring. Kenny, we got a couple more things to wrap it up this week, a couple of posts. Hey, you mind hanging on for a few minutes and maybe make a few comments? I know you're a big Control Trends reader, and Kenny will take us home. We got a couple more posts to talk about, and love to get your input on it.
Would love to. How could I refuse an invitation from the man, the myth, and the real deal? So absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, Kenny, what do we have up next? We left it off with LinkSpring, going through the weekend review. What do we have up next?
Next up, we had the crime prevention through environmental design, CPTED, it's called. Make Black and White Out of Gray by Josh Millsaps. Josh is an expert in the crime prevention through design world. In other words, you can make you differentiate your public and private spaces based on the way things are designed, the architectural layout. You can invite people, or you can kind of shoo them away, the way the lights come on, the way the stairwells, the appearances in front of buildings, lighting. I mean, it's just so much. But this is a science now, and we're having that synergy where this is important for our business. We're selling security solutions. We're talking about cyber protection, but we also have physical security that needs to be addressed, access control, lighting, all integrating on that platform, the Niagara platform. So it's a great stretch, but not very far. Mr. Millsaps is actually a primer. He does his company teaches people how to pass these examinations in their particular career field.
That goes hand in glove, Mark, with where the building automation system sort of is becoming the hub. I mean, you guys are addressing cybersecurity and things like that. I'm sure Roger Rebenak from Honeywell, who opened the show for us, would probably be all over the opportunity to talk about how Honeywell could, with their access and security camera and the lighting systems, and you guys in terms of a front end, could sort of make a building a little less inviting to somebody who is maybe thinking about doing harm to it.
Exactly, and I think, just I'll throw this in as a sidebar, is it's all about something that we've coined within at LinkSpring is BOIS. It's all about a building operational informational system, or a platform, which encompasses, again, cybersecurity, physical security, the HVAC, analytics, visualization, all the things that truly make up what our buildings are eventually going to end up being.
Well said, Mark. Kenny, let's see. We got your audio back, buddy. Give me a little test. 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, you're back online, big dog. All right. So, and I tell you what, the other thing is we got some real some tough guys in our industry. I mean, we got the Men in Black from DG Logics. You mentioned analytics, man. Those guys put together a great package. And if the Men in Black don't get you, Scott mentioned Jason Briggs will put on their overalls and get their moonshine out and beat you over the head with it. So we got some great people in our industry to address this problem. Kenny, what do we have up next?
Next is your favorite video of the week, Marshall Thurber on Speaking with Good Purpose. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Marshall, I've talked about him on the show before. He was a teacher of mine. Mark, I don't know you know him about him or not, but his two teachers were Edwards Deming, the father of quality, the guy that MacArthur took to Japan after World War II, and a guy named Buckminster Fuller, who's considered one of the greatest American inventors of all time. But this is an excerpt from a seminar that Marshall taught, and he talked about the importance of speaking with good purpose. And I got to tell you, when we work with Marshall in our company, that was probably the single biggest thing that had the biggest impact was speaking with good purpose. And he has this thing called the $2 rule because it's, nobody's perfect. So if I say something to one of my employees, they can look at me and they can go, is that speaking with good purpose? And speaking with good purpose is basically not laying blame, not trying to shame somebody, but taking responsibility for your actions and looking for a solution instead of just making the problem out. And then I have to look with my integrity. And if I haven't spoken with good purpose, I take $2 out, we put it in a jar.
Eric, there was one more post, and then we conclude. It's the 5 pivot points of the week 33. We'll go real short here. It was a post. Johnson has FX, they had a WebEx training on 5.0. That'll be posted for archives. We had Honeywell on-demand training. We had another report from the Smart Grid, and then finally was Open ADR. So we invite all our Control Trends guests and members and readers to go to see that, and the story will be in depth. Just click on it and it'll unfold. You can read it all.
I got to ask you, Mark. Kenny does this. Kenny's top 5 post. You probably checked out. That is like the coolest thing because he does a lot of research. He goes through a lot of posts and picks the top 5. Do you know? And you've been on the top 5. So do you keep up with that top 5 that Kenny does?
Absolutely, all the time. I think it's a wonderful thing, and especially we have so much information that is available to us all, and being able to go to that top 5 and quickly get a good understanding of it and look at it, and then I think it's awesome, and I actually look forward to it every week.
Well, I agree, and I think Kenny doesn't give himself enough credit for that because that is one of the most valuable posts I think that we have up there. So, Kenny, I say it every week. I'll say it again, man. Hats off to you, buddy. Appreciate that. I tell you what, as we wrap it up, Kenny, and you guys remember we have a special video after the outro, so be sure to check that out. But I'm headed to Minneapolis next week, Kenny. I'll be up at the EOO learning about the energy and how to promote that side of it. So I'm excited about that. I'll be reporting on that. My wife's brother, who is a former Navy SEAL, will be staying at my house with her. He's already been put in jail 3 times for assaulting people. So if anybody out there is thinking about coming to visit my home, just be forewarned. This guy hadn't killed anybody in a couple of years, and he's antsy to do that. Kenny, what do you got going on next week?
Well, nothing quite that dramatic. I think I'm going to be working extra around here. The change of season is going to come quick. What's going on with this weather? But it'll be good for business. It's bad for golfing. But we have 43-degree temperatures now at night. So the economizers, all these products now, this is a great time to make sure your economizer comes open before your first stage of mechanical cooling. But also get ready for combustion season. Get that boiler tuned up before it's too late.
It's coming for sure. Okay, well, we'd like to thank our special guest, Mark Peacock, otherwise known as Mark Bond Peacock, the MC of the 2012 and 2013 Control Trends Awards. Be sure to check Mark out at linkspring.com. Great products, great guy, great company. And we'll look forward to seeing Mark and Terry and the rest of his team at the Control Trends Awards. And as usual, I've been joined by my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only Kenny Smyers. So I'm Eric Stromquist at StromquistandCompany.com. He's Ken Smyers at the Smyers Company. And we'll see you again next week on ControlTrends.com.
Indeed.